AGK, the village thief and the witch. He hurried over to his house and immediately tore the bag open. What he saw gave him the shock of his life. Once upon a time, there lived a young boy named AGK. He was known throughout the village for being a notorious thief. He steals everything he sets his eyes on. Many times the villagers had caught him and taught him a great lesson, but still AGK refused to change his ways. One evening, while AGK was walking along a tiny path, looking for things to steal as usual, he came across a young girl walking alone while holding a bag tight in her hand. AGK smiled and stared at the girl like a hunter staring at its prey. He walked towards the girl, and because this girl was small and armless, AGK effortlessly grabbed the bag from her hands and pushed her into the thick bushes. He hurried over to his house and immediately tore the bag open. What he saw gave him the shock of his life. Inside the bag was a black spiral, like an entrance into another world. AGK stumbled over as he took a few steps back. He suddenly realized something was amiss when he stole the bag from that girl. She didn't even scream or wail like most people did whenever he steals from them. AGK heard whispering voices calling out his name slowly. Suddenly, a heavy wind blew and pushed him slowly towards the spiral. AGK screamed loudly as he got sucked into the spiral. AGK woke up in a strange land. He stared around and saw and heard nothing. Suddenly, a big wave pushed AGK again, and he found himself in front of a really old woman sitting on a throne. The woman laughed wildly and stared down at AGK. "So you are the new thief?" AGK gulped hard and tried to make out what was happening. He looked around and saw men and boys his age in handcuffs, working ceaselessly. They all looked tired and hungry, and that was when it dawned on AGK. He immediately went down on his knees as he started to beg.
"Please forgive me, please. I was only ignorant, please."
The woman laughed loudly again and screamed, "Seize him!" AGK continued to beg for his life. Then a boy who looked younger than him tapped him and told him everything there is to know. Turns out Queen Mother, as everybody calls her, was once a powerful but good witch. But her days of being a good witch was cut short when someone stole a gemstone from her. That gemstone was so important to her. It was the last of its kind and the only ingredient she needed in completing an antidote she was supposed to give to her ill mother. Her mother died just because the gemstone was stolen from her, and since then, she had vowed to teach every thief a good lesson they would never forget in their lives. The young boy also stated that every day the Queen Mother would pick one of the prisoners as sacrifice to her mother. AGK soon discovered the levity of things as he began to cry. He cried until his eyes were red and swollen. That same night, just as the young boy had said, it was time for the queen mother to choose a sacrifice for her late mother. All prisoners lined up in front of the throne, and the queen mother stared at each and every one of them before pointing her dirty fingers at AGK. AGK's heart skipped a beat as he was dragged forward towards the guillotine used in beheading the prisoners. He struggled vigorously, but to no avail. He struggled to break loose from the tight rope around his wrist until his wrist bled. Until you return everything! Until you return everything! The Queen Mother chanted as AGK struggled. When AGK saw that he could do nothing else, he could only scream and cry as he awaited his death. But just as the blade was about to drop down to his neck, AGK woke up from his sleep and gasped for air. He was sweating profusely and panting rapidly. AGK calmed down a bit when he realized it was all a dream. He looked towards the corner and found the bag he had stolen from the young girl. His heart almost jumped out of his mouth, but he quickly consoled himself. It's just a dream, he said nonchalantly as he used his clothes to clean his sweat. But AGK noticed something strange. As he moved his hands, he felt a sharp pain on his wrist. AGK stared down at his wrist and saw blood stains on it, just like in the dream. Immediately, AGK took the bag and ran out to look for the young girl. He searched the whole village frantically until he saw the girl sitting alone in front of a small hut, very close to the stream. AGK ran up to her and pushed the bag into her hands. He apologized to her and told her how he would change his ways and not steal anymore. The girl only smiled and stared at him like a puppet. AGK ran as fast as he could towards his house and took every item he had stolen from the villagers. He returned every item to its rightful owners, even some villagers who didn't know he stole from them. And from then onwards, AGK changed his ways. And every night, he would invite all the kids in the village to his house and tell them made-up stories of how it's not good to steal. The moral of the story: stealing is a very bad habit. Be contented with what you have. Do not become virtuous. I hope you have learned one or two things from this story. Kindly put down a comment of what you think the moral of the story is and what you have learned from the story. And as usual, do not forget to also comment your favorite part of the story. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like for more stories. Thank you.